must be because these two systems are somehow talking to each other. They're somehow talking to each other. You know what's crazy when I watch this? I'm actually getting goosebumps looking at this. This is exactly what the pattern is of the orbs in the MH370 video. Perfect sinusoidal pattern. But there's 3 of them, not 2. You have 3 phase patterns spinning around the plane just like this. Do you know why that's important? Because the MH370 video orbs are entangled. They've created entanglement between those 3 orbs. Because the question we should be asking from this experiment, what even is entanglement? What if I can entangle 2 systems that were not previously entangled? What is entanglement at all? What does it even mean? How are we making it? And now we realize it might be something much simpler. If you put 2 systems, if 2 systems are exchanging information with one another, they become entangled, instantly entangled. Maybe there's more to it, but that's what this experiment tells me. This experiment that we're looking at tells us we can entangle 2 separate systems together that have no entanglement between them. And why is that important? Because we don't need coincidence entanglement for that. Coincidence entanglement is me shooting my light beam into the crystal and then it's splitting off. And so we know what the source was. We know the source of that entanglement. The source of that entanglement is when I shot the photon into the crystal. What's the source of the entanglement when 2 different beams of light are just sharing a path? What's the source of entanglement there? Big question. Now, to be honest with you guys, if we're struggling with this, if you're struggling to comprehend this, well, don't feel bad. Literally, the smartest physicists in the world struggle with this. You just heard 3 physicists weigh in on this, and their answers were, it doesn't matter. Maybe they messed up. And then the third one is, well, maybe there's still entanglement there, which doesn't even make sense. So those are PhD physicists, presumably, having no logical explanation whatsoever. So if you are out there and you're coming up with explanations and you feel bad, you think, oh, I might sound dumb. Well, you can't sound dumber than those guys. So there you go, chat. Now, it says here, the correlation functions of Alice and Bob. Also, they use Alice and Bob. All the teleportation experiments also use Alice and Bob. Also, I want to tell you guys something else as well, which is that when I first saw those leaked BAS documents that came out a few months ago, I saw them like over a year and a half ago. When I first saw those, I also saw some scientific papers about teleportation. And the first thing that blew me away was I was looking at EPR experiments. I could tell right away because it was all about, the photon going through a splitter and having entanglement happen. So these EPR experiments, like that was part of the reason why I knew early on ER equals EPR even before I understood the significance. Now I know for sure Einstein-Rosen wormhole is equivalent to quantum entanglement. They are fundamentally the same. That's why we're seeing Alice and Bob get talked about here, because we are literally talking about teleportation. We're talking about teleportation of information. And then right here, we can see this correlation function. The correlation function between the 2 alpha and beta, the 2 phases, the correlation is nearly perfect. They're nearly perfectly correlated. That would mean that if one thing happens to one, something's going to happen to the other. So they've actually taken these 2 separate entangled systems and they've correlated and entangled them together. They were able to produce entanglement at will. They produced entanglement right there, which is amazing because now apply this to the MH370. You've got 3 orbs spinning around your plane over here. How do we get this plane? How do we get this plane over here? Well, we have some orbs over here, or one orb over here, and it's sending messages. It's sending a message to the orbs over here. It's sending a message. They're communicating the same way those 2 paths are communicating. The 2 paths, as we saw, they're connected by a bridge, and then they become entangled. And now whatever happens to one correlates to the other. So what's happening with the orbs around the plane? They are correlated to another orb or 3 other orbs somewhere else. Ashton, 6 orbs. Thank you very much, the jalapeno. Appreciate you. And then what happens when the orbs encapsulate the plane, when the plasma creates a sphere on the plane? Now we've tricked the universe. Now we put the plane in superposition. We've now said the plane can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. Or more realistically, it can be over here, or it can be over here. And we do a measurement, and we find it over here. What we've done is teleported the airplane. Now you may say, Ashton, that's crazy. Well, guess what? This paper is crazy as hell, chat. Because the next thing this paper says, I think if we go to the conclusions, it discusses it. Conceptually, rather than merely measuring an entangled quantum state, we actively manipulate the state during its creation. Our experimental setup enables this manipulation to show quantum correlations that violate the Bell's inequality. And then it says certain things about, people are going to say that maybe this doesn't work. And they say, one could argue that there's a created of a multi-photon superposition between the 2 photon sources. It says, however, this is incorrect. As long as the photon paths are superimposed, the which path information never exists and hence need not be erased, which is the fundamental difference between this work compared to all quantum eraser type works. Now, this part I thought was interesting because it references a quantum eraser right there. But I think what it's saying here is that because all the paths cancel out, because there's not like we go down this way and this, this distance versus this path over here is like completely different, it's got a randomizer in it. They're saying because both paths are perfectly symmetrical, everything cancels out. So if everything cancels out, you have a system that's in superposition. You have a system where I can't tell if this thing shot it or this thing shot it. I can't tell if the photon is here or the photon is here. It could be in either position. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that what I just said about the plane? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is why quantum mechanics is so incredible, because we can actually see these quantum mechanical effects on the macro scale. This experiment is a macro scale experiment that we can see these effects happen. So how do we scale this up? Well, the thing that people need to remember is scale invariance. Scale invariance. People tell me electromagnetism and gravity can't be related. Gravity is too weak. They have the exact same form. This means the only difference between them is the constant. This means that one is weak, one is strong, but they are perfectly linear in their relationship. So what this means is if we can scale something up, now you can see the difference between gravity and electromagnetism. Because what's big is the same as what's small. What's small is the same as what's big. A sun can be miniaturized. We're basically just zooming out. And yes, as other people point out in the chat, it's fractal. That's what fractal means. Fractal basically means scale invariant. The same shapes you see on the small scale are the same shapes you see on the large scale. I think there might be one more thing.